Welcome to CMHA's Vendor Cafe Training for Vendors. In this module, we will discuss invoicing. Before submitting your invoice, make sure of the following: that the product or service has been delivered or completed, that the PO associated with the invoice is valid and that it has been received by the PO requester, and that you have a vendor-created PDF invoice to upload into Vendor Cafe. There are two options that we're going to go over for submitting your invoice. There's the Create an Invoice option and the Upload a CSV Invoice option. All CMHA and Touchstone contracts have invoicing requirements in the general terms and conditions. Ensure that the invoices that you are submitting through Vendor Cafe follow these requirements. If you're using the Vendor Cafe Create an Invoice option for submitting your invoice, ensure that you submit a vendor-created PDF as well. When submitting your invoices, any purple fields require completion. You must also know both the PO number and the property code, and the PO must be received prior to submitting your invoice. If the PO is not received, please reach out to the PO requester. There are two ways to access Create, Upload an Invoice. The first way is pretty obvious. It's in the left-hand menu. We click Create, Upload an Invoice, and it'll take you to the options here. Another way is to go back out to the dashboard and go through the purchase orders. This is a great way to go if you need to know your purchase order number and if it was received. So we can only invoice against those purchase orders that have been received. So we're going to go into the Received Purchase Orders category and scroll down and look at our received purchase order and click on the PO number to open up the purchase order details. If we scroll down, it'll show all the line items that have been received, and from here we can select the line items that we need. For my invoice, I only need this top line item, so I'm going to select it with the little check mark here and click Create Invoice. If I do it this way, it will auto-populate the PO number and the line item at the bottom so that I don't have to enter all that data myself. Now I'm going to walk you through submitting your invoice from scratch. So not through the purchase orders menu, straight from Create, Upload an Invoice on the left-hand menu. So we're going to click that. And then we're going to need to know our purchase order number. You should have been given this number before you started the work, but if you don't know it off the top of your head, you can click Load POs or you can type it in. So if I know it's 35446, I can type it in, or click Load POs and it'll bring up the received line items of every PO that is currently open. So I can select the line item that I need. I only need this top line item, so I'm just going to check the top one and I'm going to click OK. If we click Close here, it's not going to auto-populate like we need it to, and it's not even going to pull up the PO information. So if you don't click the OK button, it's not going to pull everything in like you need it to. So we just click Select on the line item and OK. And then as you can see, it pulled up all the PO information up here, the total received amount. We don't need that whole received amount, so we're going to go down to the line items here, and these darker purple fields we can edit. So I'm going to edit this to be 250 so that this line matches what my invoice total is. So if the item total, which is going to be the sum of all of the line items, does not match your invoice total, you're going to get this error, this please enter valid amount error. So we want to make sure that the line items here match what is on our invoice, and then you'll see that error went away. Next, we're going to want to fill out the rest of these fields. So I'm going to need to upload a PDF invoice image. So I'm going to go in here and upload my test invoice image, and then we're going to put in an invoice number. My invoice number is 1. This is just a test invoice, so my invoice description is just test, and then my invoice date is going to be today. You are going to want to make sure it's in this format. The easiest way to do that is just to use the little calendar down here, and it'll put it in the correct format. So we can see that it's not flagging any errors right now. Everything looks good. So we would click Save, and then once saved, we would want to click Submit. If you don't click Submit, it's not going to come through to CMHA. It's going to hang out in your Unsubmitted Invoices tab within the Invoices section. So we want to make sure that we click Save and then Submit. If not, it's not getting to us and you won't get paid.
This screen provides an overview of all of the fields within the Create an Invoice option within Vendor Cafe. I recommend screenshotting and keeping this handy while you're entering your first couple of invoices, just so you ensure that you do it correctly.
Vendor Cafe requires a vendor-created PDF invoice image to be submitted with your electronic submission. Some vendors may have an accounting software or something that automatically populates a PDF image, but if you're working off of a word processing program such as Word or Excel, you may need a little assistance in how to convert that invoice to a PDF. So there are a couple different ways that I'm going to show you. The first way is going to be to click File in the left-hand corner and then Print. And then there should be some kind of a print to PDF option within your printer options. So I have Microsoft Print to PDF. You might have Adobe PDF. There are a couple different ones. So you should have something that refers to PDF as a printer option. And then you would just click print and it would be almost like a save as, and you'd be able to create your file name and save your invoice where you need to. The other way to do it is to go File again and Save As and choose the folder that you need. And then you would just go into the Save As type and choose PDF so that you could then save the file as a PDF as opposed to a Word doc or a spreadsheet.
The last method for submitting your invoice is through Upload a CSV Invoice. There are additional steps needed to upload a CSV invoice, and you can find help documents at the top of the Upload a CSV Invoice screen in Vendor Cafe. Again, this is not the recommended way to upload your invoice. We would much prefer if you use the Create an Invoice option. There is a catch-all error that you might receive when you're trying to submit your invoice through Vendor Cafe. This error says, PO not approved or PO closed or invalid PO, please contact client. There are multiple reasons that this could happen. The PO may be closed, it may not be received, you might have already used it for a different invoice and it might not have enough remaining funds, or it might not have made it through the approval workflow. If it hasn't made it through the approval workflow yet, you won't actually be able to see it in Vendor Cafe. This usually only happens with life and safety purchase orders. So upon receiving this error, you just need to reach out to the PO requester, the person who wanted the good or service, and make sure that the PO is open and that they have received it. If you made a mistake on your invoice or on the submission of your invoice, you can request that accounts payable for either CMHA or Touchstone delete that invoice. Once the invoice is deleted, you will be able to resubmit the corrected invoice. You can find whether the invoice was deleted by clicking on the Deleted Invoices tab within the Invoices section.
There are two ways to navigate to the Invoicing section. The first way is through the left side menu. Click Invoices, and then there are multiple tabs within the Invoices side menu, just like there are within the Purchase Orders and Work Orders tabs. We will discuss these tabs and what are contained in them in a later slide. If we go back to the dashboard, we can show you the second way to get there, which is through Invoices on the center menu, just like with the Purchase Orders and Work Orders. Click Invoices, we can then drill down further. So invoices not submitted, pending invoices, payment register, or rejected invoices. So if I click on any of these, it's going to take me to that same menu that we got to from the left side menu.
This slide details the different tabs within the invoice section. You can use these tabs to follow your invoice through the payment process. When you first submit the invoice, it will land in pending invoices. Once it is approved for payment or gets paid, it will move to the payment register. The Rejected and Deleted Invoices tab lists those invoices which may have been rejected or deleted by CMHA. Remember, if you made a mistake on your invoice, you can request that CMHA delete the invoice so you can resubmit it. The Unsubmitted Invoices tab are those invoices that have been started but were not fully submitted to CMHA. So if you were working on an invoice and you click Save, it will be here. Remember, those invoices that are unsubmitted are still holding those funds on the purchase order, so you will need to reopen them and finish the submission if you wish to receive those funds. The invoice history lists all the invoices that have been submitted through Vendor Cafe.
For Vendor Cafe assistance, please see the other CMHA provided videos. If additional assistance is required, please contact Vendor Cafe support at the contact information below.